Welcome to 0 to 60.
I'm Matt McChesney. I am the owner and operator of 6-0 Football Academy and 6-0 Equipment. Played at the University of Colorado from 2004. 6 years in the National Football League on both sides of football.
I'm Matt McChesney. This is 0 to 60. That is Coach Prime. We are at the University of Colorado. Brother, thank you so much.
All right. 0 to 60. We're rolling. And we roll. Welcome back to 0 to 60. It is Monday, I think. I don't know. I've been in Hawaii for 5 days, man, and my clock is all screwed up. I can only imagine how Big Boy feels today, considering we got home at 1 a.m. and I had him in the gym at 5 a.m. So that's how we do. 0 to 60 rolls today. We're on the Bleed Network as always. Remember to check us out live on YouTube, on Twitch, subscribe, become a member of the Dungeon family, and get exclusive content. We're going to put up another film review today. And we've got a great show in front of you, Bailey. Let's pay some bills real quick, and we'll tell everybody what's on deck, and we're all rolling.
Man, let's pay some bills real quick. This show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. From the preseason, NFL to college football kicking off, BetOnline is every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our winner-take-all $300,000 NFL Survivor pool for the upcoming season. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and use promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, and get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here and we roll. Matt, man, this is a huge show. This is a real special show here. Man, let's get right into it. Without further ado, this is a former Colorado Buffaloes quarterback. Now he's on Fox Sports. He covers college football. He covers the NFL draft as a college football, as an analyst. I'm honored to have him on the show today, and I can't thank him enough for joining. Welcome to the show, Joel Klatt. Welcome to the show.
What's up? How we doing, man?
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well.
If people don't know out there in the comments, Joel and I played together at CU way back in the day. We were captains together, and he's a brother and a guy that we've been through a ton of battles together. So this is always special to have Joel on the show. He comes on every year and talks Colorado football and college football and everything else. And JK, bro, thanks for coming on. I know you're busy, man. And your show is killing it. I love it. You are doing such a great job, and I know that you're pumped for college football, brother. So welcome to the show. And, man, that opening weekend, the Georgia Tech win, and just Montana State beating New Mexico. College football is back, baby.
I know. I love this sport. I love it with everything in me. You know that. And yes, I'm of the belief that those of us that love it need to, be not gatekeepers is the wrong word, because that implies some sort of exclusivity, but nourish the sport. I think it's so easy for people to get negative about what college football is and what it isn't. But I'm just here to tell you, I don't think that the sport has ever been better. I think that the parity at the top is something that we have not experienced since probably the 90s. And with an expanded 12-team playoff and the new conferences, how they are, I think that we're about to have maybe one of the most exciting, memorable college football seasons in memory. And I could not be more excited about it. I really couldn't.
The 12-team playoff is something that I have just been yearning for. I could not wait for it. I think this is going to be the most important football season in the history of the sport because of it. You can lose a game now early, like Florida State just did, and win your conference and get back in. You're not out because you stumble. All that said, is 12 teams enough?
It's a good question.
Or is it too many?
Well, 12, the 12 toothpaste is out of the tube. So
Nice.
so it's not going back. So it's a moot point to talk about like, well, 8's the right number or whatever, 10's the right number, whatever it is. We have 12. So because that's what we have, remember the old adage, man, every year around this time is like, who are you? Where are you going? How are you going to get there?
Yep.
Well, we have to define who we are. Well, right now we're a sport that has a 12-team playoff. So where are we going? Well, we're going to a spot with imbalance. There's going to be more imbalance in the sport than what we've seen, in particular in recent memory. Namely, there are not 5 Power 5 conferences, and quite frankly, there are not 4 Power conferences. Really? There are 2. There is the SEC and there's the Big Ten. Then there's the group of 2 with the ACC and the Big 12, and then there's everybody else, and there's all the small schools after that. I know some people don't like that, but that's kind of where where we are. And so once you know that, you have to understand that like 12 is not going to be enough because, and I'm not saying this as an argument that I have. I see the tea leaves and you read what's going on and kind of talk with those that are in the know. The ACC and the Big 12 likely will only get 1 representative each in the 12-team format. The Big 12 is going to eat each other alive. The champion will get in 1. That's right. They will not get a second. And to be honest, it's going to be hard to argue for a second. Think about it. Just play it out for a moment. There's 7, maybe 8 teams that could potentially win the Big 12 championship. That means that the team that loses the Big 12 championship likely will have at a minimum 3 total losses. At that point, you are in a fight, a narrative fight with a room full of 13 people with a team like Penn State, who might only have 1 loss, Ole Miss, Missouri, Michigan. They're not going to win those arguments because of the schedule that those teams are going to play in the Power 2 conferences. Then you have the ACC. I just don't think that the ACC is strong enough, in particular after Georgia Tech's win over Florida State, to command a second team. So long answer to tell you, I think those teams and conferences are going to get 1 team each. At that point, they are going to clamor for a second spot and be like, well, how do we get more teams? How do we get more teams into this dance? And the Big Ten and the SEC are going to look at them and they say, the way you get more teams is by guaranteeing us more teams. So the SEC and the Big Ten are going to take 4 spots guaranteed off the top. And then they're going to say, now we're going to give you 2 more spots. Now we're going to guarantee you a couple more spots, which means we're going to move to 14, which means that only 2 teams are going to get a bye. Who are those teams? Guaranteed the Big Ten and the SEC champ are going to get the bye. Why do we have to go to 14 and not 16? Okay, well, Matt, it's actually really simple, and it has to do with economics. You guys had to pay the bills to start the show, right? Well, college football has got to pay the bills, and namely Tony Petitti out of the Big Ten and Greg Sankey out of the SEC, the 2 commissioners, they've got to pay the bills. One of the most valuable assets that those 2 gentlemen have to sell to networks is their conference championship game. If there's no bye, the conference championship game is totally moot and totally worthless, because it doesn't mean anything. Those 2 teams are going to go to the playoff regardless. So they've got to tie a carrot to their conference championship game to retain its value so that they can sell it to networks for upwards of $40 or $45 million. Therefore, the Big Ten and the SEC still get a bye in that format with 14. And then here's what happens is we create more valuable inventory, because each of those conferences at some point in the near future, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, are going to have what I would consider to be a play-in date. So conference championship Saturday, 1 and 2 will play each other in each of those 2 conferences. The winner gets a bye. The loser is still going to go to the playoff. Then the 3 seed and the 6 seed are going to play, and the 4 seed and the 5 seed are going to play. We're going to have a triple header in the SEC. We're going to have a triple header in the Big Ten. Winner goes to the playoff, loser goes home. That's how you get to 4 teams out of each of those conferences.
That sounds kick-ass to me, bro. That just adds an extra week onto the playoffs.
Basically it does, but it's always in the vein of value proposition. I know people don't like to hear that, but that's what's going to come. So who are we, where are we going, and how are we going to get there? That's that's that equation. And that's how this will ultimately play out. There's only a couple of roadblocks to the scenario that I just said. One is that the SEC is going to have to negotiate for their ninth conference game with their television partners. That's ongoing and will likely work itself out.
Good. Well, look, college football, I don't think it's ever been healthier, although there are a lot of traditionalists that don't like where it's going. I'm torn because when we played at Colorado, we were still in the Big 12 and the original Big 12, and our rivalries were established, and you could kind of hang your hat on that. And now
so you don't like the realignment?
No, it's not that I don't like it. I hated the Pac-12 move. I love the move back to the Big 12. I feel like that's where we belong. It's just not the same conference. So
that's right.
I'm looking at it like I watched your clip today where you think that the Big 12 is going to cannibalize itself and it's going to be a really good, deep conference. Well, now you just said knowing who you are. Well, we, being Colorado Buffaloes, going back to the Big 12, a place where I thought we dominated for a long time. Just talk about that move a little bit, and then I want to talk about the schedule with you in North Dakota State.
So I'm really proud of Colorado.
Yeah, me too.
I'm very proud of Rick George, the athletic director. I'm proud of Phil DeStefano, the chancellor at the time of this move, because they saw the handwriting on the wall and they were leaders and not followers. The reason why this conference looks like it does is because of those gentlemen. Brett Yormark obviously had the vision, the commissioner of the Big 12, but through conversations with all of those gentlemen, I can tell you that Colorado was not waiting around and saying like, well, if they go, then we'll go. They led. And in many cases, and I would say in a lot of ways, they're the reason why those teams had a lifeline to begin with. The Pac-12 was crumbling. Colorado didn't do that. Colorado didn't kill the Pac-12. The Pac-12 killed themselves because of their greed and lack of vision. Once that happened, then you're standing on the deck of the Titanic and you got to figure out where you're going to go. And Colorado didn't. Yeah, that's right. You don't want to slap the base and go down with the ship. So Colorado had some vision and some foresight and found a place to go. So I'm really proud of them. Now, when it comes to just like, what do I think it actually means? Well, it's a really deep conference. I don't think that there is a great team in that conference, which means it's going to be a very difficult conference. Now, having said that, I still don't believe that it's as difficult a schedule as what they faced last year, namely because they don't have to face the quarterback play that they faced a year ago.
I agree.
The quarterback play was so elite in the Pac-12 last year that it was very, very tough. So if you're starting to put your hat on in terms of like, well, what does this look like this year for Colorado? Colorado last year played 6 ranked opponents and lost badly to 1. And in 5 other games, they were in 1-possession games in the fourth quarter. When you bring back the leadership that they do at the main positions, I think that you can assume, at least from our seat, analyzing the sport, you can assume that you're going to turn some of those outcomes and flip some of those outcomes. That's why I think Vegas giving 5.5 total for Colorado is absurd. I would put it at 8.
Yep.
I think that they're an 8-win team all day long. Namely, I think they've got one of, if not the best quarterback in the conference, maybe the country, maybe the best non-quarterback in the country, and Travis Hunter. And here's the thing about the line of scrimmage, Matt, and I'm interested in your take on this because everybody wants to dominate at the line of scrimmage. And I get that. And to be elite, yes, you got to dominate at the line of scrimmage. It's one thing to dominate, and it's one thing to just be okay or good enough. And the thing is, when you give up 52 sacks, I know it's a combination between the quarterback holding the ball too long and the offensive line not doing their job. Right. And you've done breakdowns, and I've seen you do breakdowns, and they're really good about just the mistakes, the MAs, the lack of technique that they were using up front. And all of that was apparent. My contention would be that if you just go to giving up 28 sacks or 30, which is not great, but way better. that you can turn a lot of those losses into wins. That's why I land on 8 games.
And look, I agree with you. I think that on both sides of the football, Bailey and I have talked about this with several guests, and we talk about it on the show all the time. 52 sacks, it is atrocious. 30 sacks, we might be able to live with that. I mean, it's not a good number.
No, it's not a good number, and you're still in the bottom half of your conference, but it's not atrocious.
It's 22 more opportunities that you didn't have to get rid of the football. And, you know, when they blitz or when they get – when somebody's hitting you, there's usually somebody running free. Very rarely in college football do down 4 win. So that's another thing is I'm hoping that the better personnel, the better coaching from Coach Holt, Seaton is a freak. I think that Brown is a really good player. I love the Zelinka's kid. The Myers kid that they brought in is a really good football player. The right tackle is still a little iffy. We got to figure that out, and I'm sure that they will. We'll see on Thursday night. But again, they only averaged like 2.3 yards a carry last year. I'm hoping that they can get 4 yards a carry this year, just double it. So if they can do that in the sack game as well, it puts them in a very advantageous position.
Even if they just got to 3.8, is it great? No. But man, it's so much better.
Yeah.
Well, you know, just think about like the difference between 03 and 04 when we couldn't really run the ball with Calhoun in 03. But then in 04, I thought our O-line was probably not as good, but a better unit. Yeah. And we could run the ball with Bobby and Vic. Like it's how much did that help you as a quarterback?
Oh, bro, you don't have to tell me. 03 was hard. It was hard.
And that was a loaded team. I thought the 03 team was way more talented than the 04 team, but the 04 team was more of a unit. I think it might have been because of the scandal or whatever, but we really came together in 04.
Yeah.
Remember when BG Brooks picked us to go 0-12 and we were in the locker room like, man, fuck this guy. I can't believe he picked us to go 0-12. Like, come on.
You got a better memory than me. Granted, I got hit in the head a lot. I don't remember him picking us to go 0-12. I do remember that being a really close team in 04.
It was.
I remember it was a more frustrating offense to be the quarterback of in 2004 than in 03, because in 03 we had like some real legitimate threats on the outside.
McCoy, Donahoe, we had dudes.
Bloom was on that team.
Yep, Bloom.
So we could throw it. You know, we were in the wrong defensive structure. Like I've always said, if you could put the 04 defense on the 03 offense, like we might have had something. Yeah, we would
have won 10 games.
Yeah, I think so too. We should have won 10 in 04.
We should have. With that Missouri loss and the A&M overtime loss. The A&M overtime loss still, I like have flashbacks of being in the muddle, and I'm like, Hankowitz, put Ewu on spy on McKee, please. And he was like, do your job. And I was like, fine, fuck it.
No, it wasn't. I mean, unfortunately for Bobby Purify fumbled. And I think it was maybe the only mistake Bobby ever made in his career. He was the most reliable teammate we might have had.
Ever.
Oh, man, we're in the weeds now talking about the loss.
Sure, and it's awesome because everybody in the comments is like, oh, they're taking us back to 04.
Oh, man.
All right, so look.
They kicked a field goal. You guys held them to a field goal in overtime.
Yep, and then
we had the ball second, and I remember getting in the huddle, and like there was zero question that we were going to score like 100 times out of 100.
You were chopping
when that ball hit the ground. I've never been as sick after like just in the moment on the field as that one. Oh.
Yeah, it still hurts me because we had them the whole game. We just beat the shit out of them the whole game. And they came back on us, and then at the end, it rips away from you. But look, that's the beauty of this sport. That's why we love it so much. Just because you have to deal with the pain. You have to deal with the victories. You got to be able to go the next week and say, you know, at one point in that 04 season, we were 3-0, and then all of a sudden we were 4-4. And we're looking at ourselves.
Is that what we were?
Yeah, we started a conference 1-4. And then remember we had to beat Kansas on the road, we had to beat K-State at home and Nebraska on the road, and then we needed Iowa State to beat Missouri. And they played the day after. I
remember all this stuff.
Because this is what I do, dog. And then the day after, Missouri and Iowa State played, so after we beat Nebraska and Lincoln. So we won those 3 games, and then we came home, and I remember sitting on the sofa with Sam and Sam and Gardner, and watching Iowa State beat Missouri on a field goal and calling Coach Wilson back, we're in the Big 12 title. And then I put my phone down and I was like, fuck, we're in the Big 12 title. Oklahoma's pretty good.
God, they were so good.
God, they beat the shit out of us that year. But neither here nor there. Look, North Dakota State's Thursday night. Wartime starts off the 2024 season up here. I don't know the spread. I think it's somewhere around 9 points. I don't really give a shit about that. I think this is a great opportunity for the University of Colorado to show that they are now taking a step to support their quarterback rather than rely on him by running the football, showing toughness. Yes, letting Shedeur eat and cook, but not. I've said this to Bailey 100 times this year. When Shedeur Sanders doesn't have to do everything, he's going to be able to do anything. And I truly believe that. When he's not relied on to do everything on the field, he can do anything he needs to do because he's going to have options. He'll be able to chop up the defense. The importance of being able to run the football is imperative. Tell me, what do you think about Thursday night, bro? How excited are you?
I'm nervous.
Ooh, I like it. This is even better. I like Nervous Joel. Nervous Joel is prepared.
Yeah, I don't like facing this team.
No one does.
I don't like it. I don't like it. And in particular, in a game like this, it reminds me so much of like facing Colorado State to open the year. And here's why I say that is because they have nothing to lose. All the pressure is on us because we're supposed to win. And if we win, you were supposed to. And if you lose, it's like, how could you lose to them?
Oh,
right?
It would be a disaster.
And North Dakota State, similar to what Colorado State used to be, when you face those teams at the beginning of the year, your advantage is mitigated because part of the advantage for a power school is your depth. And, you know, like starters at North Dakota State and Colorado, outside of the skill players, you know, like they can kind of manage. That's how Colorado State was for us back in the day. If we faced them game 5, I always used to think this about Colorado State, man, if we faced them game 5, like they wouldn't, because we just had more. We had way more depth. So when you face a team like that early, it's really advantageous for them. So those are 2 reasons why I'm nervous. And then I'm really, really interested in this idea of, can Colorado throw the ball when they want to rather than when they have to?
I dig this.
And, you know, part of that is, yeah, you got to run it better and this and that. But like my nerves center around like how willing, this is going to sound crazy, how willing are they going to be offensively to have Shedeur throw it 20 times rather than 40?
This is what we're talking about. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Because when you really drill down data, you can throw for a lot of yards if you throw it 40 plus times a game, 35 plus times a game. Your stats can be great. We've seen Texas Tech quarterbacks and the Leach quarterbacks, whether at Washington State or anything like that. Like we've seen them compile numbers. But generally speaking, the records of the teams that have quarterbacks that throw it 35 plus times, 40 plus times are not great. They don't generally compete to win conferences. What do you see from the elite teams in every conference and in the country? Their quarterbacks are throwing the ball between 22 and 28 times per game. And I'm really interested to see, like, is Colorado more interested in producing numbers, or are they interested in being balanced is the wrong word, but I would just say like winning complementary, protecting the defense a little bit. See, all of these things have an impact. One, you're not running the ball. You're not shortening the game. You're exposing your defense, all these things. Yes, your numbers are great offensively, and maybe you're going to have to throw it 35 times or 40 times in order to win. But that's when you like, if you have to do that, that's great. That I don't want them to fall into the trap that that's just like who they are. That's what I would say.
So all that said, I truly believe that North Dakota State's going to force them to play this way. I do. I think that North Dakota State's going to try and run the ball and control the clock and eat the entire play clock and take play action shots. So it may force CU's hand. I don't know. I want them to win, obviously, but I think that it might be good to have a tight game and a dogfight, and it would also be good to just go smash someone too. But I just don't see that with North Dakota State coming in. Now, the rest of the schedule, Bailey, bring up the rest of that schedule. We're not going to go over every game, but there are a couple that if we were in that room and Gary was up there and we were red lettering, I think there's 4 red letter games on this schedule, and look, Nebraska and Colorado State are 2 of them. Kansas State and Utah are the other 2, and 2 of them are on the road and non-conference, and I think they're more for the fan base because you can lose those 2 games and still go to the playoff. And Kansas State and Utah are home, and you're reviving a rivalry with Kansas State that you and I know very, very well, and that Utah rivalry we never played in, but we need to pick up our end of the bargain on the Utah rivalry so it becomes one. So how do you feel about those 4?
Yeah, so mine would be a little bit different. I just have I would have a little different. Red letter and what I would consider to be vital are 2 different things.
Okay.
And like red letter was sentiment and it was chemistry and like, you got to have targets out there. So that's why you would like red letter Nebraska. And I understand that. But to me, I've got 4 games that are all on the road that to me, I think that they have to win. And you got to channel your inner TCU from last year. You got to do something to say like, listen, we're going to take care of our home field. All right. So Utah is not going to be on this. To me, it's at Nebraska. It is at Colorado State. It's at Arizona, and it's at Kansas.
Yep.
That
Kansas game's an Arrowhead too.
That Kansas game is, I think, going to be tougher than most people think. And those are the games that it's just like, you have to win. You have to win those games. Because if you lose one of those, the implications in some of the others are that you're not close to the top. You see, if you're going to compete at the top with Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and Utah, because that's who I think is like kind of, if I were to say, who's the class of the Big 12? Well, I picked Utah, and then Kansas State and Oklahoma State are kind of right there. They're veteran. They're tough. I love their identity. I love their coaches. So if you're going to play in those games, well, guess what you have to do in the others? Win. Like you can't just get yourself up for those big games or else all you are a spoiler. You're a mid-tier spoiler at that point. So you've got to take care of business in those other games. All those other ones happen to be on the road. You've got to go out there and really build an identity and a chemistry and a mindset that can go win those games. That's what I thought. Let's go back in history. You know what was really special about that 0-2 team? We won on the road. Tyler Brayton drew that line.
Oh, yeah. The line in the sand, UCLA.
The line in the sand in the UCLA at the Rose Bowl. We went out there and like we beat UCLA. And it's like, you've got to have some of that dog in you to go win on the road. And so those are the 4 games that I'm looking at.
He's getting me ready to go over here, man. Shit, I got goosebumps. All right, JK, look, we won't take a whole lot more of your time here, but I wanted to tell a couple stories on here. Bailey wanted to ask you a question, and then I wanted to tell a quick little story about the toughness of Joe Klatt. We'll wrap this up and get you out of here, brother. Thank you so much for the show.
What do you got, Bailey?
We'll talk about Coach Prime here in a minute.
Man, so look, we talked about the schedule. We talked about the North Dakota State matchup, man. Matt and I are both excited. It's going to be a great game. But I wanted to talk about Warren Sapp and Damian Lewis. I think Colorado last year got dominated, in the trenches, specifically in that 3 technique position. They've, brought in Coach Sapp, and, they have Damian Lewis there as well. I'll go ahead and show a little clip of them kind of working with the D-line, and then I kind of want to get your take just on their impact of the D-line and how you think they maybe improved this season.
Yeah, so for me, like, here, go play the clip. Is it?
Crowd that ball, let's go. Crowd that ball, y'all too far back. We too far back. Crowd the fucking ball. Here we go. It's game week. Let's go. Get on that goddamn ball. Let's go.
So what I wanted to ask you is that Coach Sapp and Lewis, they obviously play that 3 technique position. How do you think they'll improve that defensive line this season?
Well, I don't think that there's any reason to believe that they're not going to be substantially better. Like these guys, and it's not just because they did it, right? Because I think we can get to they're going to be great coaches. No. Like you feel them on the field. Great coaches, you feel their presence as a position group. Mm-hmm. Okay. Weak coaches, you don't. The players have to be the ones that generate everything on the practice field. See, the practice field is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be very difficult. The best teams are the ones that practice the hardest, the most physical, the fastest, and under the most amount of urgency and or expectation. And that expectation has got to be brought by the coaching staff, because as a coach, whatever you see on the field or whatever you see on film, you're either coaching or allowing. Okay, so I need energy from my coach. I need expectation from my coach. And I need to feel that on the field. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
This can't be like, oh, let me mark this down, and then we'll see on the film how you do. Okay, like, oh, let's rotate. No. I need to feel your expectation right now.
Yep. No doubt.
And that's what I start to sense, out of these guys, because they understand that element that I'm talking about. I think that they'll improve on the defensive line. I think that the evidence that we see is time and time again, the best teams in college football have defensive lines that can play, in particular in the interior. This is what made Michigan so dangerous last year and why they went undefeated. The interior of that defensive line was incredible. Nasty. Best in the country, man. They get after it. They play with leverage. They play with toughness.
That big three technique kid is a fucking animal.
Mason Graham is incredible. Kenneth Grant might be even better in the long run. I think that he's just an absolute star. But what I'm telling you is like that has to translate. Think about what we just saw last week in Ireland. Guess what Florida State didn't have? Any toughness in the interior of their defensive line. They were just getting washed down, huge holes. Georgia Tech running backs were not getting touched or breathed on until the second and third level. You can't have that. Right?
I love the head coach. Run the football.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Run the rock, So it's so fascinating. Everyone thinks that just because you play quarterback that, you want to see all the passing and the flash and the glamour. But I got to tell you, man, I love old school run-oriented teams. It's why I fell in love with Michigan last year, man. They could just do it. They called, 25 straight runs against Penn State on the road in a top 10 matchup. It's like, yes.
I worked with Drake Nugent. I remember talking to him about that when on draft day when we were sitting there watching and waiting for him to go to the Niners. But I was sitting there talking to him, and I'm like, so – like, how did that feel? And he goes, well, really, it was 27. And I was like, what do you mean it was 27? He goes, well, we kneeled twice. And I was like, oh, you're such a bastard offensive lineman. He's like, it was the coolest thing ever. The others, we were just taking their will every play. So I think that's, getting the ball thrown on you is one thing. I'm sure it's demeaning and demoralizing for the secondary. Like if you can't stop the run, it is the longest day of your life on defense. That's for damn sure. All right, JK, we got a couple more questions here for you. We want to do a little story time here, and I just wanted everybody to know the toughness of Joel Klatt. So, my favorite story of Joel is we're in between 03 and 04. All right, and it's right before Gary got suspended, and Gary walks by the defense, and just he used to do this like maybe once a year, maybe. And he'd go, okay, quarterback's alive. And all of us are like, whoa, quarterback's alive, holy shit. And I'm like, okay, I'm turning this up. And I beat the guard inside, and I run through Joel's chest pretty hard, and I get a good lick on him. And I hit him pretty hard. And, he's my boy, and I love him, but I'm trying to kill him at the same time. And he pops up, and he's like, man, that wasn't shit. You can get hit like a bitch, and just runs right back to the line of scrimmage. And I'm like, that's my guy right there. That's one tough son of a bitch. So, when you have to understand what Joel Klatt is, every time he gets hit, he gets back up. And that's really it was so inspiring as a teammate of him, as a fellow captain, to watch, him go through getting smashed and then running off the sideline and be like, it's all good. We got him next. And the leadership that you feel, it's just like Joel was just saying about the coaches. You have to feel the presence on the field. Well, you feel your leaders. And it's not a surprise that you're in the position you are now, brother. But I just wanted to, I love that story. And
man, I hate that story. That hurts so bad. I wasn't going to let you know that, though. Man, I was hurting. I think you knocked the wind out of me a little bit. So, whatever I said was all I could muster. There was no way I was going to let you think for one split second that you had, got me. It wasn't that wasn't an option. It was no option. I do have a quick backstory to that story.
Please.
and this is what you didn't know, okay, is that I was not as talented, just a pure quarterback, as the other quarterbacks that we had. When they would just throw the ball or 1-on-1s or 7-on-7, it usually looked a little better than me. Because I was just a bit of a try hard. I knew the schematics really well. I felt like the ball was always in the right place. Like I was kind of a system guy, and I was going to orchestrate and run the offense. And I needed a rush because I was good at pocket manipulation, and I didn't care if I got hit. So I wasn't going to be scared about contact. So what you don't realize, Matt, is that I would go to Gary.
You told him?
I would go to him when I felt like the other quarterbacks were getting too confident. And I would say, like, hey, will you please make us live today? And he would say like, absolutely not. And I remember I shut his door and I was like, no. I was like, I'm not asking. I need this. I was like, I need to be live today.
I need to get hit in the face.
Well, and it's not even that I didn't want to get hit in the face. I just knew that was my differentiator, right? So like, if you're going to compete, I couldn't wait until the game, because it's like, that's when I was best. It was a game. Give me a play clock. Hey, play callers, go to the sidelines. Give me a play clock. Let me change the play. Let me run the offense. Let me talk in the huddle. And let's play football. So I would go to him every time that we were live, and he always was like, I made it, quarterbacks are live.
Quarterbacks are live.
I would go to him and I would be like, hey, I need to be live today. And he would always say no. He was like, Joel, he was like, how would that make, he was like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to, like, people are going to, if you get hurt, I would be like, I'm not going to get hurt. I was like, just relax. I just got to be live today. And then he would walk around and he's like, quarterbacks are live. And you guys would all be like, woo!
Christmas, bro. Because he would never tell us. So he'd just walk by us and he'd look right at me and go, quarterbacks are live. And I'm like, yes. Yep. I'm going after his ass.
That's right.
All right, brother. Record prediction for the Colorado Buffaloes this year. How do you think they do? I know you said 8 wins earlier. Are you sticking with that?
I think it's 9-3. I think
9-3. I'll take it. 9-3. All right, you heard it there. Joel Klatt, the face of college football, in my opinion. You and Gus do an unbelievable job. I cannot wait to hear your calls all year.
Thanks, man.
When you come to Boulder, I'll make sure to be there and give you a big bear hug, brother. Thank you for taking the time to do this today, as always. All the best to Sarah and the boys and everything you got going out there. We love you, man. Keep it up.
Hey, man, I'm proud of you. I love you dearly, and I'm proud of you. You've done a hell of a job.
I appreciate it. Keep it up, JK.
You got it. See you, bud.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right, folks.
Man.
1,420 in the chat. It's always great to talk to my homeboy and my brother Joel Klatt. I feel like I get to hang out with him every weekend. Every time I turn on the game and he's doing the call, I get to hang out with my homeboy. So it's just. Man, he brought it up, and it gives me goosebumps, makes me a little emotional. And I can't not say this, but the 04 team that we were on, we played together in 03 as well, and 02, obviously. We were there together for a long time. Mm-hmm. He didn't play in 02, and I was injured. I broke my leg. And in 03, we started together, and we really underachieved. And in 04, the entire world was stacked against us because of the scandals and Katie Nida and all the bullshit that came along with that. I never met that chick. I've still never met her, but she definitely affected all of our lives crazy. Mm-hmm. The leadership on that team in 04 with the 4 captains were Purify and Joel and Sam Wather and myself. And Bobby and Joel were 2-time captains. Bobby was a captain in 03 too, and Joel was a captain in 05, the year after we left. So the leadership on that team is really what kept us together. Coach Barnett got suspended. Coach Cabral had to come in and be the intern. And it was a crazy year where people thought we'd go winless. And we ended up winning our division in the North. And Oklahoma shit stomped us in that game. They were ranked number 1 in the country. And the year before in 03, we played them really tough. And we just didn't have the same team. And we had kind of exhausted our run at that point. But to finish 8-5, and be on the last team that's won a bowl game at CU. I never thought that I would be saying that at 42, going on 43 years old, 20 years later. But I think this team has the kind of makeup that we're looking for, with just hardcore leadership and toughness. And that's one thing about Joel, is I know he's a pretty motherfucker, but I'm telling you, that is one of the toughest dudes I've ever been around on a football field. And when he walked into a room, he commanded the room, and he commanded my attention. And I'm usually the guy commanding attention. So that should tell you all you need to know about Joel Klatt. Look, the rest of the week, we're going to have some more guests. I don't know who. Lawrence Vickers is going to be on eventually. I will probably save him for CSU week, as he is the biggest Ram killer of them all. But look, Thursday night's coming fast. Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll try and break down North Dakota State and how Colorado beats them. Tomorrow, we'll do the offensive stuff, and Wednesday, we'll do the defensive stuff. Thursday, unfortunately, I can't go to the game because we have pregame stuff and practice and shit, and then we play again on Friday night against Arapahoe down here. So we'll be watching down here on Thursday, but we will damn sure be in Lincoln. We'll damn sure be in Fort Collins, and we'll be there for the opener for the Baylor Bears. Hey, again, why was Robert Griffin III at the fucking facility the other day? He's a Baylor Bear. Why are you at the CU facility, dog? Don't hang out with your fucking people.
I saw that.
Hang out with your fucking people until after we beat the shit out of you when you come in for family weekend. No offense, but fuck off, dude. Come in after we win, and then we'll be cool. I don't need you in there scoping what we're doing and then going back to Baylor and telling them like he's not going to tell them shit. So, yeah, man. Look, everybody in the chat, we love you, even the haters. We didn't really talk a lot about Coach Prime today because it's not always about Coach Prime. It's about the team. And, you know, the whole media thing with Sean Keeler and all of that, it's already been talked about. Like, that guy's a clown, and CU has every right to do whatever they want. If you act like a bitch, they're going to ban you. So it's what it is. You know, so look, great show, Bailey. All the best to Joel Klatt. Thanks for everybody to watch. And yeah, man, we're back to fucking work tomorrow, and we appreciate you. So go Buffs.
Go Buffs. See y'all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Peace.